Hey everybody, Texas Stroker here, Lance's Performance Shop, Mopars.com. New year, new tool hauls. Actually, these date back quite some time, but I'm just now getting to them. Because quite frankly, I need to clear out some space in the floor by the duster. So, last night I actually came out here, cranked out the brand new 6-in-1 and 11-in-1 from Viha for you. So hopefully you enjoyed checking those out. Again, that's how things kind of get pushed back. Sometimes, you know, something new and exciting comes along that just drops unexpectedly. Sometimes things that I pre-ordered and anticipated and tried to get, like the Gedore silent gear, shows up, and, you know, I try my best to keep things sort of relevant to some degree. But this is KC Tool Haul 49, and it's kind of a combination of two tool hauls, really. And I think it's something you should enjoy, something you'll probably be interested in. It'll be all Knipex this time around, and we're just going to jump right into it. Now, this particular combination of tools easily would have exceeded $100, so that'll net us, of course, the German tool sticker pack. And as always, whether you buy like a $3 bit or socket or whatever, you get a bit of things with every single order. Currently, they are sending out Philo number 2s, so fantastic. Those are actually really nice bits if you've never bothered to use them. But all that aside, it is time to get to the matter at hand, which is the Knipex Tool Haul 49. Now, the sad thing is, these have sat here a really long time. I just went into that spill with you, how I try to get things out in a timely manner, right? Let's see, when would these have come in? I would have had these sometime towards the end of September. And I didn't jump on this first item immediately because A, it was like really popular and sold out, and B, I'm thrifty. It's not something that I had to have per se. It's something I wanted to check out, see how it compared, of course. But when that's the case, I am willing to wait for a good deal. I honestly do not remember if I got it on Tool of the Day or if it's been Tool of the Day. If it was Tool of the Day, we got it on Tool of the Day. If it wasn't, it was just a deal where something I brought in, I needed free shipping. I thought, well, now's the time. So what we have is in this tiny little boxer right here. And it is going to be part number 8700100. If I set it down, it just almost fits perfectly in the Omega M of our Mopar work mat, right? Many of you will now know exactly what this is. You're thinking Knipex, you know, it's not going to be like some crazy precision screwdriver set. Maybe it's like some spare replacement parts, but you probably have a pretty good idea what it is. The price point, which I think these have gone up since they were first released. I feel like they were maybe closer to the $30 mark, maybe even in the 20s when they first came out. Regardless, what they list for right now, I checked right before the video, $36.99, which is a pretty penny for what you're getting. But again, if they're anything like their siblings, some of which you can see here on the mat, probably worth it. So, what we have, of course, as I bring this up closer for you, 4-inch Cobra XS water pump pliers. Now, if you're thinking, wait, aren't there Mini Cobras? That's correct. Those aren't this small, though. Those would be 5-inch. And these suckers, as you can see, are 4-inch. So a good bit smaller. Again, kind of like their packaging. It's really simple, very clean, nothing crazy. This doesn't have as much of like the recycled feel. It sort of seems fresh and new. But right there, this is it. I honestly have not. A lot of times, especially when something sat here for like 2 months, I've used it. These I honestly have not. I just left them here in the box, and there were several times I thought, man, I'd like to go grab those and see what they're all about. But this is new. I've never seen a clear bag with the printed Knipex logo. That's actually pretty sleek too. If you were to buy these like by the drove, I'm sure you'd probably get something similar to this for bulk packing. So something that I see with these, and this is something, I don't know how to best describe tool channels on YouTube. There's a lot of people that seem to collect things. There's a lot of people that seem to only make videos about the websites that they're on and never really even have tools. And then there's certain tools across whatever brand it might be that just seem to always attract everyone. And this was one of those. You know, you've kind of got, granted, you know, German tool reviews in the back. If he was, he would probably have a way better video than I do on these. But, yeah, sort of like a niche thing, right? You know, you've got sort of your snap-on people, you got your Mac people, you got your tool truck, you got I'll use whatever. You've got your, oh, I only use Bonnie from the 60s, and you've got eBay people, you've got the Harbor Freight people, you've got the why spend money when you can get something just as good crowd, and something that just kind of transcended all those boundaries for whatever reason were these suckers right here. So you've got Harbor Freight people that were going out and getting these, you've got tool truck people that were hunting these down, you name it. It seems like everybody was going and getting these. When you see that, that also takes away some incentive, like with the Gedore silent drive, right? That's right up my alley. I'm super geeked about it. I don't care. I'm going to make it happen. And of course, you know, no one else has jumped on board yet. But with something like this, it's like, oh, that's cool. You know, we should bring that in. And then when everyone and their dog is already doing it, it's like, yeah, I can wait. And so that's what we did. But like I said, for whatever reason, and you know, there's many things that I get wrong. I wouldn't have thought these would have been that type of a groundswell. You know, I get that they're pretty cool, they're handy. They're very, very small, even compared to the minis. And for whatever reason, it just struck that chord with people. and there it went. So, but again, we've got them here, we've had them here. And the main thing you're going to notice, and what some of you will either A, think, oh, that's great, or some of you will be appalled, is this deviates a little bit from the classic Cobra you're accustomed to. First thing first, you're going to notice, well, you probably notice the handle, right? There is no grip. There's no classic Superman red and blue Knipex. There's no textured grip. There's no dipped grip. It's just bare. And personally, I kind of like that. Now, granted, for extended use, I might prefer something a little bit padded. But you got to think, you're not going to use this like for a prolonged period of time in most instances. It's going to be like, oh, that'll get me out of a bind, or it's in my pocket. A lot of people claim they keep this in their shirt pocket. You know, whatever it may be. The bottom line is, and I advocate this every chance I can with the minis, they look gimmicky, they look stupid, they look too small, they look like a toy, it looks like you give your kid first pair of pliers or something. When you have these, you will be amazed at how handy they are. How many uses you can find for something you think, oh, well, you know, the 7 and 6 inch is small enough. You know, like right here, you got 10 inch. You drop down over there like some 7s. You're like, well, that's going to be the smallest I'd ever need. I assure you, whatever your hobbies are, whatever work may throw at you, there will be times where these stupid-looking little things will be a lifesaver, and you will then sing their praises just as everyone else. But of course, like I said, we don't have the grips that you're accustomed to. The other thing that more of you that are familiar with the Cobra lineup will be appalled by, there's not a push button mechanism, right? This is kind of like more old school. It's my first time ever moving them. It's actually pretty easy to articulate. Does it lock in place good? I guess, of course, you know, it's sort of auto-adjusting. Like, I don't guess that's the best way to put it, auto. It's a manual adjust, I guess would be better. But keep in mind, I'm able to go from open to closed because we don't have anything here. There's no fastener, there's no seized nut, there's no square tubing that I'm diving into, you know, to kind of grab around something. So if that was the case, these would actually be pretty easy to articulate. But coming in on a closer inspection, they've got the classic, I guess that would be what, black phosphate finish, 87-100. I want to highlight this because I do actually like it. Not necessarily the made in Germany, that's great of course, but the texture, the knurl, right? I think you've heard me talk about knurl a few times by this point. If I flip this around, the font is correct. Let's see if we can get a good angle. There you go, Cobra. It's a shame they didn't put XS, but at the same time, I'm not too upset because this is the side that you would be gripping more. The made in Germany eliminates like 90% of your textured areas. And if we added an XS, it would eliminate quite a bit more. So since this is the side I will be gripping, I'm not too offended by that. So what I am offended by right now is this tag. We got to get rid of that thing. And I guess the old ballasted NWS knife will be the weapon of choice. So there it is again, nothing crazy, no security tags. But with the tag off, I do like the feel of that. But again, this is something that I would like use for the particular application in hand, and then I'm going back to these. As soon as I don't have to have something small, I want a good handle. I want something with better grip. I want something that's more comfortable. That's just me. Your results may vary. I know for a lot of people, what they said was a selling point on these is that it didn't have a hand, textured grip, and it'll go in and out of my pocket easier. Personally, I don't really have much issue putting the textured grip in my pocket. I wear jeans. I don't know what everyone else is wearing, but for me, that was never really an issue. But the direct comparison I want to make here, I could not find the minis. I went to the toolbox, grabbed these. I try to keep things orderly, and I was like, man, where are the minis? And of course, like I told you, you use these things all the time. Well, I'd gotten back. If you watched the Ram Revival, you saw these actually. I guess the video that would have been released is when we dismantled the dash. If you're thinking, wait, why is there blue? What did Knipex do? This is horrible. That's me. I put masking tape on it. And the reason I did that, it was a situation, the tilt lever on the steering column in my truck, right? I need to get it off. Nothing fits. This did. It's been in the truck. I then used it for some other crud that was really tight quarter stuff, reassembling the dash. And then now the tape is back on because, you guessed it, the tilt lever needed to be tightened down. So this, though, is the difference between them. Again, people think that this is small and this is gimmicky, and I swear by this thing. I have zero first-hand experience with this because we literally just opened it. This thing is amazing. I absolutely love it. And again, since I had this and I knew how useful it was, I didn't feel the need to like rush out and jump on that immediately. Definitely wanted to pick it up, but I was willing to wait. So also a lot of people will buy these like from tool trucks and they mark them up quite a bit. You'll save a lot of money going through KC Tool, just FYI. But, anyway, the main difference, number one, of course, we've got a textured handle, which Knipex texture I don't necessarily like as well as others, but it does provide some semblance of comfort for you. The other thing, just like the 10-inch quickset and the smaller 7s over there, we've actually got the classic push button. So when I release off of that and it locks in, I'm not closing, I'm not opening, we're just in place where we want it. So that's kind of going to be your biggest differences between these guys. The tiny XS, which if this is the Mini, if you think XS, that doesn't make sense. Well, acronym for extra small, right? So check this out, though. This is your money shot. This is your direct comparison. I don't actually own the 6-inch version, so that might be something that we pick up at some point in time. But there these are side by side. I gotta say, when this seems small, like if you saw this without this guy here, people think, oh, that thing is tiny tool, what's going on? And then you put the XS by it and it's really makes this guy look decent size. It certainly highlights this small size of this one. Now it is a little bit slimmer. You can kind of see it sitting down there. One of these was flattened out. I think it was actually, was it this pair that we used? Let's find it. Oh yeah, let's see if you can there we well, you see all the shiny stuff there that shouldn't be there, right? Maybe you do kind of the powdery looking stuff. Yeah, these totally wiped some threads the other day. And it was pretty impressive, I'll just say that. But again, these guys right here have been amazing. I also use the snot out of them for the air compressor drain. My air compressor drain, which I've been meaning to replace for like 2 years now, it's at the point where, it's like knurled, but you can't turn it by hand because it seizes every time. I come in, I use these. In fact, that's why these were usually sitting here. Every time I go to drain the compressor, I was using the Cobras. So that said, this is the Mini Cobra. I know a lot of you have probably picked this up. If you have, how do you like it? Do you find yourself using this more than the Mini? Do you prefer the Mini over the XS? Obviously, I'll need some time with this one. I did have something I wanted to do, and I was thinking I'd probably get a spare pair because it might ruin this. But, it was something I was sort of excited about, and I think we will do it. I actually kind of do like these in the hand now that I finally opened them, but it's nothing major, it's nothing stupid, it's nothing that's going to ruin the tool. It might, but it'll be functional. but it would be sort of a aesthetic preference type of a deal. So we shall see on that front. Definitely stay tuned if I've piqued your interest. But yeah, there we are, the Mini and the XS. So new for 2020. Sticking with that theme, new for 2020. This is something that I saw came out, and of course it's a situation just like the Gedore, silent gear deal. I see it, I email Colin, I say, hey, when are you going to have this thing? And I've had this, I believe, for like a week or two longer, maybe even more than I had this. And it's one of those things I don't use all the time. Typically when I'm using one of these at the house, it's for like a project, and it's pretty extensive or, simple, whatever it may be. And then it's done, and you don't really ever think about it. And at work, I use this all the time. And this is one of those things I was debating taking to work to get like a better feel for. But what it is, it of course is from Knipex. Now the price point on this thing, if you buy it full price, not on sale, not tool of the day, you're going to get your German tool sticker pack all in and of itself. So some of you are probably thinking like, hey, oh, did you finally do it? Did you get the locking clamp pliers? Because I've wanted those for a really long time. And the answer is no. What this is, it is part number 9031-02. Sets you back 111.67. I believe this I did get on tool of the day. And I've never really seen anyone make videos on it. But like I said, it's just one of those things that I'll use it and appreciate it, but I don't use it all the time. Came in this bag. That tells you anything. What are your thoughts? You've got a little bit of time here. If you scroll down before the video starts, well, you already know. For everyone else, we're going to drop it in a little bit slow. And I'm kind of on the fence with this one, I'm not going to lie. But I'm also not wanting to be a total downer here. So as it descends, some of you see that and you instantly know. If you deal with this item, if you have to do this type of stuff with your work, you know exactly what it is. The rest of you, it will come into focus soon. Yeah, it's exactly what it looks like. It is a tubing cutter. All right. Again, 111.67. That is a premium price, I would have to say. Keep in mind, I think on tool of the day, this was probably 60 to 80, if I had to guess, type of a thing, which that to me is a more fair price. The issue I have is after I got this, and I think it's one of the things that dampened it, is I found that I'm not sure that this is what I thought it was. Now, all the things I saw, which I believe I saw it on Twitter at lunch at work one day, and they had like the new product launch video, and I was like, oh, sweet. It's like, that's so cool. It's going to be awesome. It's not going to be a bad tubing cutter. And since that point in time, I've seen some very, very similar to this from other companies, and it's essentially a deal if I wanted this to be orange and black, and I was going to sell it to you for $65, and you're like, well, I'm buying Knipex, screw that guy. And then you're like, oh, well, he's got that on sale, and, he said to give me a deal, and you get mine, and then you put them side by side, and you're like, wait, this is identical. Now, this is all speculation on my front at this point in time. If you're on KC Tool and you type in pipe cutter, you're of course going to see this pretty early. If you scroll down a little bit, you'll see something from Gedore. It's their part number 2250, I want to say, and it's $30 cheaper right off the bat. It's also the cool Gedore blue. It looks to be the same thing. Now, something revealing on there is that it says it's made in Spain. Nothing wrong with that. Irega's there. They make really good adjustable wrenches. There's a lot of things. They do really good highways too. Apparently almost everything in the Dallas area, they have these Spanish company come in and just crank it out, and it's a new toll road for the people down there. Which I'll tell you, if you don't drive on a toll road, that freaks you out. You come in from a little town or a small area, and it's like, what do you mean I have to pay to use the road? What are taxes for? And you don't know where to pay, and then there's like all these booths, and they don't have people, and they're like change only, and you're like, I don't have change. And then you drive, and then like a couple weeks later, you get some letter in the mail, and it's just a mess. But anyway, so this didn't have a country of origin. Me, just, in my super geeked up state of, brand new Knipex, Logical assumption, made in Germany. This very well could be. Again, I honestly don't know, but it does look eerily similar to several different products I've seen that all seem to share a country of origin being Spain. So that was a little sad, one, just because Spain versus Germany, and two, the price point, and three, in my case, I prefer the aesthetics of some of the others I found more than this. Not that this is a bad looking one though, but before we cut into that, I kind of want to show you my evolution here at the house. All right, now this guy right here, which I have no clue where I got it. I'm assuming this would date back over a decade. I might have had this longer actually, but where I would have used the snot out of this one would be when I plumbed the entire air system. And I was going around and I was buying copper, was really high at the time. You can clearly tell what that wheel's been cutting. All right, and this is sort of right before there was all the companies that did the plastic airline systems, right? My experience with plastic for an airline system was it was going to swell and blow up. And I also know two people, that's right, two people that plumbed. I think they even did it right. They'd use Schedule 40 instead of Schedule 80. And they both had the lines break. One of them's because the guy got pissed off and threw something. But it was one of those things. It just hit it right on, and he still tells the story to this day. Because you've got your pressurized system in a fairly large shop, and there's one small hole where it shouldn't be. So you can imagine what happens. But this cut a crud ton of copper for me. It's the classic style. I think it says made in Taiwan over here. What's the capacity on this guy? This one would be 1/8 inch to 1 1/8 inch, which, you know, that was kind of cool. Very big array. Again, typically at work I deal with 1/2 inch and 1/4 inch. Here at the house, when I was plumbing everything, I use all kinds of different sizes. I did the T's, I did drain valve. I mean, I went all out on this thing. And then the sad thing is I use like 2 of the outlets. So who knows, but another thing here, it's got a real simple deburr. If you're like, what's that stupid deal? Well, it's, you know, to ream your pipe so you can make a good solder and everything. But yeah, that's primarily what I use. Now, it did get the job done. Sometimes it didn't work really well. It would spin, it wouldn't cut great. Where do you go to get wheels for it? That type of a thing. Enter this guy, and if you're thinking, oh, I'll get that cheap Chinese junk out of here, this is made in America. I honestly don't remember who made this, and their company doesn't seem to be anywhere on the tool, which is unfortunate. But when I was doing 3/8, 5/16, 1/4, 3/16, brake line, fuel line, all that stuff, I got tired of using that big thing over there because it wasn't cutting good. So I got this. I love it. And ironically at work, where I primarily cut 1/2 inch, if I had to give you an honest estimate, it's primarily 1/2 inch copper with a good bit of stainless mixed in. What I use there is from Reed. I've actually posted a picture of it that they liked so well that they wanted to get my permission to use it on their website, and I said absolutely. And then they were super cool, and they sent me blades specifically made for stainless steel. And it's the Mini Pipe Cutter. I love that thing. And it's slightly bigger than this. It's more of a metal construction as opposed to plastic. But in all honesty, for what I've done here around the house, this thing has been pretty solid too. So that's my history here at the house. Those are the two I have. I feel like I have an older one somewhere, but obviously it's, if I bought that bigger one a while back, it's probably because I was not happy with the way the oldest one was cutting. So that one at work though from Reed, that's an industrial setting, and it gets used a lot, and it's been very good. Reed has something similar to this, and it's probably a little bit cheaper as well. But I don't, like I said, want to be too negative because I want to give this thing a fair shake. It could be amazing. It could be as good as I thought it was, and it's certainly, based on everything I have here and at work, a totally different design, which I am pretty excited about. So one thing I got to give them credit for, look at that. Subtle little thing some of you may not have even noticed. If I flip her around, you will. They used red cable ties. Small little packaging things like that. I don't know why I appreciate it so much, but I do. Camera just got knocked around there. That is something that I genuinely do appreciate. So that said, with this in hand, it feels really good. Now, like I said, I don't want to be too negative here because this is a radically different design. It's improved multiple ways versus what I have here. and it does some really cool things that could very well justify the price. And again, if this turns out to have been made in Spain, so be it. If it's a good tool, it's a good tool. But what we want to take a look at right here, we've got the, let's try to zoom in, got the Knipex branding on this side. You got the part number 903102. We flip her around, and this is a little difficult to read, but that is going to be your size callouts. So I like that it's got what I use first, 1/4 to 1 3/8. So one of the things I liked, and one way I justified this, is this was going to cut bigger pipe for me. Essentially, you know, 1 1/8 is pretty good size. 1 1/4 would be like the next step up. So hey, you know, I've got tubing, I can go to town there. Metric Folks 6 to 35 millimeters. I think the specs on this say it cuts up to 2 millimeters thick, which again doesn't mean much to me because I'm old school. But I'm gonna spin the blade. It's got Inox CU. Knipex is actually on the blade, so that's good. If this is something that's rebranded, they at least went all out. So, and like I said, it very well could be made in Germany, but God, I just want that to focus. There we go, Knipex. See, I'm not lying, it's on the wheel. When I spin it around, you can see that. So, I think there is a spare blade in the handle. However, I did check reviews on KC Tool. There were 2. One of them said it's the greatest pipe cutter they've ever used. I think another person said something similar to that, but they said that there wasn't a spare blade. I was under the impression there is a spare blade. Let's see here. Philo, come rescue me. Gonna try to get that out because that would be the least exciting part for you. And might be quite difficult to get this thing out of here. There we go. Okay, you know what? I think we may have one. Let's back this out for you. Yeah, I got a spare blade. So it was advertised as having a spare blade. I don't know, maybe that person... I have no idea, but whoever left that review, there was at least one here in my handle, so maybe they got like an early release one, or maybe it's just like a couple got thrown together without them. I don't know. Having the spare blade is great because what that means is when I'm over here and I'm 3/4 of the way through my job with this thing, I'm like, man, this is cutting so bad. Guess what? Pull the blade, put the new one on, go to town. I do not see a part number for that. I will try to remember to get one and have it linked down below for your convenience. And that way if you buy this and you're like, man, I want 5 blades minimal, pick them up. Don't have to worry about it. Alright, so what is different? Well, let's start here because I'm not going to lie. This was a selling point to me. I don't know if this appeals to everyone. I don't know if this appeals to machinists like myself. I don't know. But right here, okay, we've got this deburring section, reamer, whatever you want to call it, and it gets the job done okay. But as I'm, you know, like I said, when I'm on the lathe, what do I like to use? Well, I use Chevive stuff and Royal Deburring and all that stuff, but it's closest emulated with what I have here from Gedore. That's one of the reasons. This is like one of the first things I bought from KC Tool, because it was going to give me a cool little handle with multiple functions that I could use to properly deburr stuff here around the house. And I love that little thing. I use it all the time. That's why it's sitting right over here where I can quickly grab it. And I don't know, like I said, maybe I'm a minority here. But check this out. We come to the opposite side of what you would think would be the business end. I push forward. Look what I have. I have a deburring tool that doesn't suck. Isn't that nice to have something that's actually going to function? Now, it looks a little thicker than I'm thinking. At work, oh boy, let me tell you a funny story there. One time when I had switched suppliers, right, I needed some inserts really, really bad. And I typically run Sandvik stuff, right, but I also needed some deburring blades. And like I said, we had the little Royal handles at the time. I kind of like the Chevive ones. They're just a little bit more comfortable. It's like an ergonomic thing, I guess. But I wanted 10 deburring blades, right? They come in a pack of 10, so I ordered a pack of 10. I was a new salesman too, and guess what I got? I got 10 packs of 10. I got 100 deburring blades. Now, Granted, I'm sure over time that will turn out to be a good purchase because, you know, the prices go up, and this was quite a few years ago, and they would not take them back. And the guy apologized right and left. He said he couldn't get an authorization from his manager. I'm like, wow, we're in the account, buddy. You know, that's a pretty bad way to handle things. And needless to say, I think I've got, like, I don't know, maybe I've used 30 of them so far. These things last quite a while if you're unaware. But I bought several more handles, and there's one at each of the lathes. I put some, I think 2 at each mill. And yeah, but the bottom line is, in my toolbox at work, where I kind of like keep parts because that's what I do with it, I've literally got about 70 to 80 of these Royal Deburring blades sitting there. So hey, that said, I do actually prefer this over the corny little design over there, and I know that this is going to do good, and if I need to, I've got tons of replacements, particularly if I do take this to work. Now, other big selling point when you come in here, what does this do? Well, you've got your wheel here, and then you've got 2 rollers here, which, to their credit, these are actually still pretty solid. That would just be needle bearings in there, right? Well, when you shut this down on the pipe, you essentially need it to roll there, and then roll on the cutter, and then you just progressively tighten it, right? Sort of a similar thing here, but instead of having the needle bearing rollers, you're just sort of sandwiching it. You know, this is like a specific size type of a thing. And it doesn't have anything, it's just going to roll on the soft nylon, I guess that is probably. This takes things up a few degrees. We've got 4 really good, based on my initial assessment here, needle bearings sitting in the top. Not 2, but 4. So of course, obviously, if you're dealing with something small enough, it's going to nest right down in there, like if we were cutting a brake line, which I don't even know that this has the ability to do. So let's say we were doing a 5/16 factory fuel line on an old Chrysler for someone. It's going to just wedge between these two. If we come in and we're doing like big stuff, you know, maybe for, I don't know, somebody's blowing radiator hoses all the time or something, or maybe we're plumbing an air system, then we're going to take advantage of these outer 2 that are going to provide that extra, you know, touch point. And again, it's not necessarily friction, it's to make it more frictionless. And if you cut a lot of stainless, you know that that's a good thing. Now, I want to highlight this too, because if I was in here cutting, let's say, the brake line with this one, I've got to come in and I've got to tighten it like this. I've got to use my other hand to hold. Same thing here, you know, you got that in place, you got to tighten it, you spin her a few times, you tighten it again. This was the big selling point. This was kind of like the thing that I thought was cool, but this is something that I think everyone's going to appreciate. The 4 needle bearings may not impress you. This should, okay? So we've got this little trigger here, right? Keep in mind, I've never used this, but assuming I know what it's going to do you notice that my gloved hand is way over here? Okay, so I can come in and I can automatically place that. Let's just go up all the way. I think we could cut smaller than it's advertising. Let me, this is maxed out, okay? I manually went up as far as I could, and then I tightened this as far as I could. And so, I feel like it says 1/4, right? I feel like that would cut 3/16. It might not, but it would be pretty close. But again, essentially, when you finish a cut on 1/4, that's where you would be most likely. So what we can do then is we back out. And then if I want to just quickly, you know, like with this stuff, you have to manually back out, and then you have to, you know, sever your pieces and everything. With this, it's all just one-handed, which I gotta say is pretty dadgum cool. So, if I would not have seen the Gedore offering, if I would not have seen other similar ones that are, again, eerily similar for less money, I wouldn't have been as down on this. As is, there is still the chance this is legitimately made in Germany. I don't know. If it's made in Spain but branded for Knipex, I assume if they put their name on it, they found what they feel is the best, manufacturer of tubing cutters that they wanted to be associated with, and that would be reflected in the price. They've done a great job outfitting if it is just rebranded. And if it's made in Germany, I just feel better about the price that I paid for it. It's one of those things. That's what people do with VHA. If their pliers were made in Germany, you'd pay more money, right? But they're made in Vietnam. So a lot of people avoid them. Other people say, man, these are actually really good, and you save some money. That's sort of where I stand with this stuff, right? So I'm pretty excited about it. The saddest thing, all of that aside, is just that I don't use these all the time here. I very well might be doing some things fuel related that I could... Actually, you know what? I may keep this here, because if I wind up upping the fuel line size on the Duster, we would be running 3/8 stainless. Right now, everything's aluminum, because when I ran everything aluminum, I didn't anticipate myself needing to run 58 pounds of pressure through those lines, which I think the aluminum would work, but when aluminum has pressure in it, every little jostle becomes more critical. And I mean, I've got, lots of flat frame rail areas with cushion clamps, but aluminum will become brittle and break, over time from stress fractures. So I very well could. My hold up on doing stainless is just, it's a pain in the butt to flare, okay? And even if you're just trying to, flare it to get like a, a hard line adapter or something, it's still a pain in the butt. I honestly haven't used the copper nickel alloy stuff. That's a little easier to work with for fuel systems, and I don't really care to run copper under the cars, but I don't know. We will see. If I do take this to work, I'll try to remember to like shoot a video at some point during lunch on my phone or something, but I'm pretty excited about it. If you want to see this in use, I still have, I think, quite a bit of copper we could cut up here in the shop, just like scrap pieces essentially. Somewhere. I'm honestly not sure where I put that. Who knows? Maybe I scrapped it. I don't remember doing so, but there should be like a bunch of like little 4 6-inch pieces or something somewhere. Obviously I could come in. I don't feel like, fuel line is a great example of the capacities that this has, but I guess it would be a demo. If you want to see this thing in action, let me know. Again, I try to kind of keep the tool hauls dedicated to tools, but it is what it is. This gives you a good feel for it. Again, auto adjust with one hand, super cool in my opinion. There you can see kind of the deburring in action. This is saying it's about 220 millimeters in length, so what is that, 10.2, something like that. I think it's a little longer than that. 375 grams, and there you can see sort of your pipe selections. Probably would cut plastic and tubing and things like that as well if they're sort of a hard wall. Don't hold me to that. Might be an improper use. Might do something adverse to your cutting tool. I don't know. I'm just a guy that plans to use this thing. So at 111, would I buy this? No. Now, if I was in a trade where I used this all the time, or if I had if I bought this before plumbing my air compressor, absolutely, then I can justify the 111. With the cars, even if I do the Charger and the Duster, I mean, there's going to be, I don't know, maybe 8 to 10 cuts I would probably make, unless we do like some crazy cool, fancy stuff. So it's a hard pill to swallow for small projects, but if you're moving into a bigger shop, or you just expanded your business and you're going to run your own airlines or something, that 111 becomes way easy to swallow. If you're just like a hobbyist dude that's going to use this sporadically in something like this, that you could probably get for 20 to 40 bucks in a couple of different sizes, would suffice. I don't know, but if you're, say HVAC or plumbing, and you cut 3/4 and 1-inch stuff all day, then the 111 becomes a way easier pill to swallow. And like I said, I have high hopes. I mean, I've got to say, it's not like I get this in hand and I'm like, well, that's a piece of junk. It feels like it's a really well bit tool, and I'm excited to actually put it to use. It's a shame here at the house I don't have like things that would tax it better. Like it has all this capacity, and I'm going to be down here in like the bottom quarter of it the majority of the time. So maybe I'll take it to work. Again, when I do the copper stuff, I cut a 50-foot roll. And It is 1/2 inch, which would be a little bit bigger than what I'd probably be messing with here. So maybe I'll do that. I'll take it. I'll just buzz through a roll and, you know, see how I like it compared to everything else. But I have to say, stay away from these. Spend your money elsewhere. Something like this is, I find, even better. But Reed pipe tools, I'm telling you, they're a little mini cutter. That thing will not disappoint if you need something bigger, size appropriately. And at some point in time, who knows, maybe we'll bring in the Gedore, because again, curiosity just kind of seems to kill me, or at least my wallet. But if you know for certain that, hey, this is 100% made in Germany, you know, Knipex does this here and here, or, you know, they're using this place in Germany, leave the comment, let people know, because again, that is a huge thing for a lot of people. If this is in Spain, it's like, no, I'm not paying that premium, people are going to say. If you know that this is in fact rebranded and you know who does it in Spain, tell people, you know, leave a comment, let them know, and say, hey, you know, don't complain, that is legitimately the best you can get in the world. Similarly, if you're like, hey, I've got that from my insert, you know, tool truck brand here, or I have something that looks just like that from insert this brand. I think on tool of the day pricing, you have no complaints. At the 111, if you're not, like I said, going to be using this to its upper limits to take full advantage of the 4 rollers and the auto adjust and everything, maybe hold off. Wait for a sale or tool of the day. As is, I feel like I'm covered now, because as gimmicky as this thing looks, I swear it's a really good cutter for small stuff. And like I said, at work, that Reed pipe tools, which isn't much different than this, just picture a metal body and a little bit bigger, that thing is unbelievably good. So I'm excited to use this thing. I just feel bad that I'm not like taxing it, you know. So we shall see, but I'll try to remember to put the Gedore, a link to that as well, because if you love this, but you're like, you know, blue's my color, or wow, $30 is a lot of money, pick up the Gedore. And if you do, let me know how you feel it compares to this guy. So bottom line though, brand new Knipex stuff in 2020. We finally opened it up here. And I gotta say, I do kind of like these things. I'm very fond of what I've used and what I know works for me. So I will make it a point to attempt to utilize these as much as possible to get a good feel for them. Again, the jaws, the teeth, they are quite small, very fine. I guess we should have taken a look at this. I don't think that's really going to do a great job. Out here on the outer limits, they're super fine teeth. And I'm sure that's, you know, fine with like tiny fasteners, but, well, those are covered in tape, so that's a terrible example. But bottom line, I'll make a point to use these, but I'm a bit of a loyalist, and I'm a huge fan of those guys right there, so we shall see. But now you kind of know that's your Cobra XS, not to be confused with the Mini Cobras. And then of course we've got the TubiX, which has got a great name. It's a very, very attractive tool. It's a very seemingly well-built tool, and again, the big selling points, you've got 4 rollers, you've actually got a really good deburring tool here, and then just the auto adjust of one hand is awesome. Because let's face it, if you're using this guy, which has a similar range, and let's say that you just finished your airline system, right, and you want to come in and you're going to cut brake lines now, well, you've manually got to do this. And would you rather turn that by hand, or would you rather do that? I'm going to say this is a little bit more time conducive. So that's another thing, you know, personal hobby type stuff, weekend warrior, this isn't a big deal. When your time is money, that kind of pays for itself over a couple of jobs. So keep that all in mind. But I will quit rambling. My feet are freezing out here. And I'm going to see what other cool stuff we can get into here. But again, KC Tool Hall 49, brand new TubiX cutter, brand new XS Cobras. Again, a lot of people still looking for these. They have been in stock the vast majority of this time. So I'm not sure what all sources you have that have you trying to get them from someone, but KC Tool, you know, they sell Knipex. They're a Knipex dealer. They have it. They stock it. That's the big thing. It's not like made to order. Like, oh, I can get that for you. And you give a guy $40 and then 6 weeks later something might show up. it's either in stock or it isn't. If you're curious about the lead time, ask. You can call, you can email, shoot, hit them up on social media. And again, I make nothing telling you that. I'm just trying to help you get what you want. So with that said, let me know, Mini Cobra or XS Cobra, which one would you pick and why? If you've used this, what are your thoughts? Again, if you know for sure, definitively, 100% German, 100% Spain. Whether it's amazing, whether you prefer something else that's cheaper, whether you buy something that's like $40 more because it's just so much better. Let the people know this is far from my area of expertise with this type of stuff. I do think I might take that to work though, just to do one round of 50, kind of see how I feel it fares versus what I'm familiar with. So with that said, I will quit rambling. LoneStarMopars.com is the website. You can find us Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all three at Lone Star Mopars. With that said, hope you're all having a fantastic weekend, and I will catch you back here for more action from the shop.